Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me today is Fitz Magic, Pat Fitzmaurice, back again. Lots of quality time for me and Fitz this week, and I love it. We've also got a fabulous guest with us all the way from Yahoo, the Chicago boy himself, who's coming in this weekend to draft against me in the Flex Leagues. You know him, of course. He's super famous. He's Andy Behrens. Andy, welcome to the show, my friend. It's nice to have you.
Super famous. Wow. Yeah.
Super
thanks
famous.
for meeting my appearance fee, my outrageous appearance fee. I'm happy to do it.
Yes, and then that equates to, I believe, buying you a beer at the draft. I believe that was the. And look, it's New York City.
Please,
so it's a little bit more expensive.
I don't like to have that out in the public. I don't like everybody.
Well, it's out there
exactly
now.
How expensive I am. Yeah.
Too bad. So of course, it's all those like IPA things because you're so elitist and all that. Although you do like a good outline, I've heard as well. This is true, right?
I do.
You're
it's
a maniacal outliner, I believe I've heard.
It is one thing I really appreciate about the Fantasy Pros podcast is that we do not lack for an outline and we do not lack for structure. It's here. This is my kind of pod. This is my kind of pod outline. I feel at home.
I would like to clip this segment and I'm going to send it to our bosses. I want to send this to Chris. I want to send this to Friedman so they know exactly how we're rolling here as we head into the season. Fitz, we just came off a live 14-team mock draft stream yesterday. So we've been hanging out with our people and we're hanging out today to talk about a very important subject. How'd you feel yesterday after your draft was over? You felt like that 14 team was kind of like training for the marathon. Now you're ready to get back next week into some of the 12 team stuff?
Yeah, I play in a 14-teamer and a 16-teamer, two of my home leagues. So I'm kind of used to that. But yeah, you always feel like there are gaping holes in your team when you do that, especially since we were going up against some sharp users, some sharp Fantasy Pros regulars. So they kept us on our toes.
Yeah, everybody's got that one crazy league. I've got that Football Diehards 32 team Dynasty IDP league. That is the where there's copies of players and it's just, I just try to get all the Josh Allens. Can I get just all the Josh Allens? Give me all those guys. That's what I want to do. Now, today, our topic is about mid-round value picks, which is very important. So we're going to name some running backs, some wide receivers, maybe even a quarterback and a tight end or two that can actually really give you good returns on your investment because value is very important after all. That's why, we go shop at certain stores. That's why we like certain sales at certain times because value is important and it's key to roster construction. And if you are playing fantasy football this year and you want to learn more about roster construction, head over to fantasypros.com/kit right now. Again, fantasypros.com/kit to get our fantasy football draft kit. It is live. It's available. It's free. It's got incredible analysis. It's got the ADP stuff in there. It's got player profiles, position primers, all of those magical things, plus strategy guides to help you dominate your fantasy league because it's not enough to win. Remember, you have to dominate it. That's what you got to do. And of course, that's available at fantasypros.com/kit. And don't forget, if you want to upgrade your subscription here and become a premium member of Fantasy Pros, you get extra access to that draft kit. And that can happen for you at fantasypros.com/offers. All you got to do is go to fantasypros.com/offers. You go check out some of the offers we have right now currently available to you on some of our partner sites. You make a deposit and you all know you're going to go out there, you're going to play some DFS, you're going to go out there, you're going to make some wagers. So if you're doing it anyway, you might as well do it here at fantasypros.com/offers because when you do, you get all of the premium draft kit tools, all of the premium draft wizard tools, all the in-season tools to help you manage your teams, grade your trades, pick up free agents, all of that, even set all your lineups from 10 different sites in one spot at Fantasy Pros at fantasypros.com/offers. It's the greatest deal in the history of deals. You want to talk about value? That, my friends, is value. So, Fitz, let's get into it and let's talk about it here. Let's start with you. Give me a mid-round running back that you are looking forward to drafting that you think is a good value.
Rhamondre Stevenson, and he's been a little buzzy lately, so I don't know if he's going to ascend in ADP. I think what's going to keep him reasonably priced is that people are concerned about the Patriots and how they often tend to be unpredictable with their running back usage. We kind of saw that to some degree last year. Stevenson started, and he was going to get didn't start, but he was going to get touches early on, fumbled away, I believe, his second NFL touch and was promptly a healthy scratch for the next 3 games. But then once he got back into Bill Belichick's good graces, he averaged, I think, 12 carries a game from whatever it was, week 5 on. and was actually pretty effective. I think he was the 13th highest graded rusher per PFF among all running backs with at least 100 carries. And what's not to like? Big dude, quick feet, can catch passes. And I know that Boston Herald Patriots beat writer Andrew Callahan was on a podcast with friend of the show Joe Dolan recently, and Callahan predicted that Stevenson would ascend to the running back 1 spot for the Patriots. So it's a lot to like with this guy.
Works for me. I like him. I know he had a lot of good comps coming into the league. We saw some flashes last year, but he was still only a rookie. We'll see what year 2 can bring for Rhamondre Stevenson. In terms of value, you're right. RB37 for a guy who might have high-end RB2 upside is certainly a value. And right now, I think you've got him at RB30, correct? That's where you have him?
Yes, sir.
So 7 spots higher. I think that sounds about right to me. Let's go over to you, Andy Behrens.
Can I actually just on Rhamondre,
sure.
can I just mention that I find it wild that people complain about the Patriots backfield, and this has been a major talking point when folks are discussing like Josh McDaniels with the Raiders, right? As if it's going to be some sort of nightmare. The Patriots backfield was awesome last year. Like if your biggest problem was Damian Harris, you definitely won your league, right? Like he was great. Rhamondre's second half of the season was generally double-digit touches. He was great. They leaned on their running backs, and it was awesome. Like, I get it from week to week. Sometimes in the distant past, it's been really murky with the Patriots, but last year was easy. Like it's like it hardly gets easier than that in the NFL. There were 2 guys that we really had to think about, and they both panned out. Like they were both great. Harris was fantastic. I don't get the whole talking point of like not that Pat was making it, but I just don't understand the framing of the Patriots back.
Well, I think it was
problem.
I think it goes back, Andy, to the Tom Brady days of the efficiency and not knowing where everything's going. And then what happened was then you transition to the Cam Newton era, which was, thank goodness, short-lived. And you didn't get any of the touchdowns going to the running back. So that became really because everything at the goal line was Cam Newton. So people didn't like Harris. But look, Harris was scratching 1,000 yards last year, potentially. He was right there on the precipice of it. That being said, do you think Harris is a value this year, Andy?
Yeah, if people are running away from the Patriots backfield, I think they're both great options. Like I think they're both, Harris is a little bit more problematic because he's not a guy who's going to finish the season with like 35 receptions or anything like that. And we can't bank on double-digit touchdowns, whatever it was last year, 15, 16 touchdowns year in and year out. But that's a good player. Like that's a good player that they like, and they're also not like. To some extent, I think it doesn't matter when we hear beat writers talking about how, they think, somebody's going to ascend to the start. I mean, somebody's got to start. I get it. It's clear that they're going to use both backs while they're healthy, right? Like they're both good players. One thing that Bill Belichick doesn't do is he doesn't just shelve good players for no reason. Like they're going to play. They're both really good. They're going to lean on the run game. I think if you can get Harris well outside the top 20 running backs, I've seen him fall. In a handful of leagues, I think that's fine. I'll take that.
Is it one of the more appealing backfields to own too, like collectively?
Yeah, we know this offense isn't going to be Air Coryell type passing game. So with the ball control attack and sort of letting Mac Jones game manage the offense, absolutely, there can be 2 very fantasy relevant running backs.
All right. Very good. Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I mean, Harris seems to be falling very far, and Stevens is kind of like the it guy right now that we're all talking about, but Harris is kind of left around. He's still going to get a lot of work, I think, in this offense regardless. It's still going to be very run heavy, play defense. That's what the Pats are going to do, even if Mac Jones does take another step forward. All right, give me a new name now. No more Patriots. Everyone already calls me a homer sometimes on the show, so more Patriot discussion. Let's get to somebody else, Andy. Who's on your list as a value RB?
Yeah, I don't intend this guy as like, I'm not trying to say he's like a league winner or anything. I don't think he's going to fall into 2,000 scrimmage yards and 20 touchdowns, but I think Chase Edmonds is a really good player. And I think he's landed in a situation where he's probably going to be the primary guy. Now, like, what does it mean to be the primary guy in an offense in 2022? It might only mean 220, 240 touches, but like there are no backfields anymore where guys are getting 300 touches. Basically, there were 4 such guys last year. Like it really doesn't happen that often, and it's fine to chase it at the top of a draft, but you're not going to get it later in the draft. And if you're embarking on, and I've done this in a handful of leagues, if you're embarking on any sort of 0 RB build, I feel like Chase Edmonds is one of those guys that will slip into this, outside the top 100 range. If he can just stay on the field for 16, 17 games, we're going to get 60 catches. Maybe we're going to get 70 catches. They paid him and listen, we shouldn't read too much into what guys get paid, but they did give him 2 years and $12 million. And that's pretty close to starting running back money these days. The other guys on this roster are not scaring me off. I think Chase has a skill set that is different from Michel, from Raheem Mostert, right? Like I think you can throw 75, 80 balls at Chase Edmonds and get a great season out of him, even if he's only carrying the ball like 140 times. I think he's an upgrade over Myles Gaskin for sure. Does a lot of the same things that Gaskin could do, but he does them better. I'm pretty excited about Edmonds.
Is part of that excitement based on the pass catching ability?
It's almost exclusively on the pass catching ability. I mean, I'm not going to try to talk anybody into this idea that,
don't sugarcoat it for us, Andy. Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, like they're not going to put him on the field in goal-to-go situations, right? I think they might a little, because I would trust. I think I trust McDaniel to put like good players on the field when they get inside of the goal line. I like coaches who do that. I am optimistic that he will be one of those guys, but I also understand that Raheem Mostert's really good when he's healthy. So, like, he's going to have a role. But I think any sort of PPR format, there's just a really good chance that Edmonds, again, we need him to be healthy. We need all the things, all the caveats. Guy stays healthy, he can catch 65 balls. All
right, question for the panel. Give me the name Fitz, who is the biggest threat to Chase Edmonds in that backfield, in your opinion?
I'm going to say Sony Michel.
Sony Michel. How about you, Andy?
Yeah, it's probably Michel, but I can also I don't think that Michel has I think these are nice complementary players. Like I think a backfield with Michel and Edmonds is a pretty smart idea and you can get a lot out of it. I think it's possible that if anything were to happen to Edmonds, that Gaskin could really slip into that role a little bit more. But Pat is probably right. The other top challenger for something like 900 or 1,000 scrimmage yards out of this backfield is probably Michel.
All right, let's move on to another one of your running backs here, Fitzy. Who you got in terms of a good mid-round value? And if it's the guy I think you're going to talk about, then this is somebody you drafted yesterday.
Yes, so every year we see rookie running backs go in fantasy drafts at a discount that they never before see, or they never see again, like later on. They're always more expensive in subsequent years. And I think we might very well see that with Ken Walker of Seattle. And terrific prospect. So 4.38 speed, 99th percentile college dominator rating, according to Player Profiler, 1,636 rushing yards and 19 total touchdowns last year in the Big Ten, a very good football conference, as Andy can attest. And so we're going to worry about him not getting playing time behind a guy who has missed 28 of a possible 65 games over his 4-year career and is playing on a 1-year contract. Like, I just don't see Rashard Penny as and I know Rashard Penny is, yes, he's ahead of Ken Walker right now. Of course, they've got the rookie behind Penny on the depth chart. And maybe it starts the season that way, and I hope we continue to get those reports because it's going to keep the price low on Walker. He's their future at the position, and I think the future is going to be now at some point, very early in the season. Mm-hmm. At minimum, he's going to get committee carries, and I know the offense isn't very good, but that is also depressing the price here. So I want to make the bet on talent.
I feel like if he's going to go with the third at the end of his name, he should stay Kenneth. And I just want to put that out there too. I just feel like if you're going to do it all. If you're going to be pretentious, do it all the way. Don't start shortening your name to Ken Walker the third. That's no good.
I mean, maybe give us the middle name too.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Yes,
if 100%. You apply at a country club as Kenneth Walker the third, is there any chance you're getting rejected?
No,
none at all.
Zero chance. All right, Andy, let's go back to you. Let's get another name out there on the list of running backs you think right now, currently in your mind, is a good value.
I am immediately regretting that I selected a former Wisconsin Badger here. I didn't really think this through. I don't think I pieced that together with Pat being on the pod, but I'm going to take Melvin Gordon for the same reasons that I would have taken Melvin Gordon had we done the same thing last year. And this is really unfortunate for the people who are loyal to Javonte Williams or who imagine that Javonte Williams is ticketed for some sort of like 2,000, 2,100 scrimmage yard sort of role. Melvin was very good last season. And it was funny because I had a lot of Melvin last year because I just thought the gap between Javonte and Melvin was crazy. And then they ended up with essentially the same workload and the same season and all that. People would tell, and one of my favorite things to do on Twitter is to tweak people, right? I almost never give a serious opinion on Twitter. It's a terrible platform for that. And I'll just lob nonsense out there. And I was doing it on Melvin's behalf all last season. And people kept coming at me with like the missed tackle totals for Javonte Williams and his elusiveness and his breakaway runs and all that. Well, like, you don't have to look very far down the list to find Melvin's name on all those leaderboards too. This is the problem. Melvin was great. He was sensational. He was like tied for 7th in missed tackles forced, and he was top 10 in runs of 10 or more yards, and he averaged more yards after contact per attempt than like Eckler and Mixon and Harris and like a bunch of other guys. Like among that pool of backs who actually saw, triple digit carries, he was as elusive as any of them. And there's just no reason to take a player like that and shelve him. And I don't think they're going to do it. I think it's much more likely that this backfield looks exactly like it did last year than people are banking on. Like I get really enjoying Javonte Williams. I think he's a wonderful player. I think he's a potentially really special player if he ever falls into a full workload. He's not falling into a full workload this year because Melvin, unfortunately, still a really good player, available basically for free.
All right, before we dig more into this running back stuff, let's take a quick break for some Miller Lite, baby. It's Miller time. Picking your fantasy team is a crapshoot. We all know that. And picking your beer doesn't have to be. Miller Lite, more taste, only 96 calories, which I know Fitz loves that about the Miller Lite. And when friends come together around fantasy football, it's Miller time. Let's go. The best part of fantasy football, besides winning, of course, is enjoying some cold Miller Lites with your friends at the draft, before the draft, during the draft, after the draft, all season long, because when it's football time, it's Miller time, and that is just a fact. Not only does Miller Lite have more taste than those other guys, but it's got only 96 calories, and for all of us who are watching our figures, and I know that we are, you still want to have some fun with the guys and the gals and drink some beers and still enjoy some football without necessarily feeling like you're, ruining the whole diet plan. It goes all out of whack. So Miller Lite, again, 96 calories. That's it per bottle. Sounds good to me. Let's go. Every good fantasy football draft needs 3 things. Number 1, professional tips. Number 2, good friends. And number 3, ice cold Miller Lites. That's what you need. Go over to MillerLite.com/buybeeronline today. Again, that's MillerLite.com/buybeeronline so you can get all stocked up and ready to go for your draft and ready to go for every single Sunday or Monday or Thursday or all 3. So there you have it right there. Miller Lite, one of our sponsors here at Fantasy Pros. Now, Andy, I have an interesting question because you're talking about Melvin Gordon. And as I'm looking here on FantasyPros.com, you can obviously check out all the ranks, all the ADP, and the ECR at FantasyPros.com/rankings. And we've got Melvin Gordon, Kenneth Walker, Rhamondre Stevenson, all in a row, all in backfields with other guys. And I heard this discussion earlier some folks were having about making your investment in running backs. So you're making investments in Chubb, or you're going to make investments in Hunt, who comes later. You're going to make an investment in Penny or Walker, who goes later. And how do you approach this? As me, who's someone who takes a lot of early wide receivers, I tend to look a little bit more for that, like late running back value guys. Are you somebody that also takes that approach where you see these guys that are, 20 spots down the road, but in terms of percentage of the backfield, a lot closer than people realize in terms of their opportunity?
Yeah, I think, in Melvin's case specifically, I just think he's kind of a gift. I think the range that he goes in drafts is pretty crazy. And you get to bypass that entire running back dead zone too, right? Like I don't even have to think about taking him in round 3 through, 6. I can take him much later than that. And I'm pretty confident that as long as Melvin stays healthy, I'm coming into 200 plus touches. So I feel great about him.
Yeah.
I don't like you have to curate your list of running backs, right? To a certain extent. That's what this whole game is. I will say that I have been much more, depending on the draft position I get, I can fall into a 0 RB build really easily. More commonly, I will get a running back with one of those top 2 picks. And then I don't mind waiting a long time because there's some names, another one that we'll be talking about pretty soon. And Walker's a guy that I really like too. Like, he was phenomenal. Like, Pat knows this. Like, there's not a game anybody put on tape that was any better than Kenneth Walker's game against Michigan, right? Like, almost 200 yards, 5 touchdowns, single-handedly beat a really good team. Just a phenomenal game. So, like, that's a good player. So Walker's on the list. Gordon's on the list. Not a ton of other guys on the list, but there's a few.
All right, let's move on to another guy on your list, Fitz, who you have at the running back position that you think right now is a very good value.
Andy's so gracious to appease me by naming a Wisconsin guy. I might have to return the favor later.
You could feel the pain inside of him as he was doing it.
For me, it's Nyheim Hines. And this is like, he's for a certain type of roster construction. Andy just referred to zero RB. And I think if you are having the sort of roster build where you're pounding receiver early and you are just going to tear opponents asunder at the wide receiver position and just kind of need to get by with a decent second or third running back, Nyheim Hines can be that guy. His ADP, I think, is RB 47 right now. I've got him a little higher at RB 40. We know he's not going to be the feature guy. So if Taylor gets hurt, it's not going to be Hines like getting 70% of the snaps. He's just not that dude. He is a passing down back who can also occasionally come in on early downs and spell the starter. But we know Matt Ryan is going to throw to his running backs more than Carson Wentz did last year. And so I think it's very possible Hines has the kind of year he had with Phillip Rivers in 2020, where he had almost 900 total yards from scrimmage, over 60 catches, and I think like 7 touchdowns. So he is a useful depth piece, I think, and going just a little too low, pretty easy to get. No one's falling over themselves to get Hines. Still, peak age. He's 25. So if you're going zero RB, or if you're, just looking for sort of a spackle back, maybe a guy who's not going to ascend.
Did you just make that up? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to get out you got to MacGyver at the position at times. If you're, somehow get through without getting 2 of those top 30 guys or whatever. Like, Hines is a guy who can kind of patch things up for you.
All right. Now, Hines is a guy that I have typically stayed away from in the past, but this year I feel like it's a little bit more open because we really don't have a clear secondary pass catcher outside. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's going to catch his ball, sure. But at the same time, I mean, it looks like Michael Pittman and the rest is completely unknown. Andy, do you find that equation to favor Nyheim Hines' value in drafts this year?
Well, you're making a great point here in that we have no idea who the second receiving option is here, and there's a very good chance that Hines ends up number 2 on the team in like that's totally in play that he would finish second on the team in receptions. I find myself taking some flyers on guys like, I'll take a flyer on Mo Alley-Cox really late in the draft. I'll take occasional chances on some of the secondary receivers here because there's just no clear number 2, and like. I mean, what's the minimum for any NFL team these days? They're going to throw the ball 450 or more times, right? Like, if Michael Pittman can't take 400 of those.
60 catches somewhere or something
somebody else is getting 100 targets in this offense, and we don't even have a lot of clues as to who that's going to be. There has been persistent buzz about Nyheim Hines, which is sort of weird for a multi-year vet to have the kind of spring and summer buzz that he's had, but it's pretty clear to me that they're going to use the heck out of him. So I think he's another candidate for 50, 60 receptions in a healthy season.
All right, Andy, let's go to one more running back who you think, and once again, we're trying to find these guys in that mid-value range, the guys that we think are good returns on investment. So who fits that bill for you?
Yeah, I'm just flagrantly cheating here. And you guys gave a range for like a pick range that I should consider. I did. The mid-rounds.
You flouted my outline. That's what you did.
I just went outside of it. I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I went outside of it, though, because I'm not, especially as we get late in a draft, there's got to come a point where you don't care about ADP anymore and you have to take some swings at some guys that you personally really like. And so I never let Tyler Allgeier fall outside of this range. So if I'm in your draft, he's a mid-round pick. That might not sync up with ADP, but that's where he's going to be if I'm in your draft. I think he's a prime target for zero RB drafters because he's not just he's not just a guy who could get a share of a workload. He's a guy who could fall into dominating a workload or coming close to it. Of Cordero Patterson was a wonderful story in Atlanta last season, and we never see it, right? We never see somebody on the wrong side of 30 who's been a kick returner their whole career become, by the end of the year, he was just a straight up running back. He wasn't even a hybrid player anymore. He was just a running back. We never see it. It was really fun. There's no reason that we should bank on that continuing going forward. It's such an unusual case. Allgeier, like, I will also say that Allgeier is one of those guys who's a bit of a difficult evaluation because of the school. So he comes from BYU. They don't always. It's not like a murderer's row of opponents necessarily. So you don't know what kind of quality opponent you're watching when you're watching his tape. And then it's also complicated by the fact that a couple years ago they just had like a Wisconsin style offensive line. Their offensive line was incredible, multiple pros. It was the line that protected Zach Wilson, right? That made him a star. So like, I don't always know. I do know that he could handle a full workload. And last year, 1,600 rushing yards, 1,800 scrimmage yards. It seemed to score a touchdown on like every fourth carry. The year before, 7.5 yards per carry. He's a pretty good player, and we saw enough like proof of concept that he can be a functional receiver too. I think there's a real opportunity here, and I don't even know if it takes a Patterson injury. I think it just takes Allgeier sort of proving himself, and he can move to the front of the line.
And you have him as your RB 40, which is exactly where Hines is for our friend Fitz Morris. So that's
realistically, I'd probably draft him higher than that. Like you guys know,
draft him higher than 40. You mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Like whenever I get the itch, and whenever I hate the other names, and whenever I'm staring at, maybe I'm looking at a tier at receiver where I don't see a lot of differentiation between guys, I'll take Allgeier.
Well, I've had a lot of Tyler Allgeier here on a lot of our mock draft shows and a lot of real life drafts as well, for the same reason, which I feel like everybody's kind of burned last year by the Mike Davis thing and, a terrible offensive line. And it's not much better, but at the same time, it's like, Mike Davis probably was never the answer to begin with. And I feel like, let's just go with the younger running back. Let's just get the fresher legs. Let's see what happens there. And once again, if you're giving a potential starting job to a guy like that somewhere, in terms of his real RB status too, you guys, obviously you have him at 40, but Allgeier is at 54. I mean, that is a huge gap. I mean, that's basically, we're talking, he's much closer to the Marlon Mack range, Gus Edwards range in terms of, the ECR, whereas you have him closer to the James Cook range and those kind of players. So that being said, would you take him over Cook as well, because Allgeier has a potential straight path to the starting job?
Yeah, that's where ranks get so tricky because
he's the pass catching guy and everybody's the pass catching stuff. That's what you want in fantasy, but at the same time,
Right. I might have a fringe opinion on James Cook, but I don't think they told us immediately after they drafted him that they viewed him as a receiving specialist. And I don't like, he wasn't used in college as a full workload guy, unlike Allgeier. I don't think they see him that way. I think they just blatantly told us immediately after they drafted him exactly how they see him. It's a nice role for fantasy that is, guaranteed fantasy output there, but they're not grooming that guy, in my understanding, to be like the full workload running back of the future. And he doesn't really profile that way. He's not Dalvin Cook, which is fine. Right. It's fine that he's not Dalvin Cook. He can still have a role that is incredibly productive, 60 plus catches. I can see all that. And he can be at his most efficient and most productive when he's not seeing, 275 touches, something like that. Not everybody has to, we can like a guy and still imagine that he's probably going to end up at like 200 touches, 180 touches. That's where I think Cook comes in. I think the ceiling with Allgeier is much higher than that.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. It's also tough too, because you're looking at the Falcons offense run by Mariota and then the Bills offense. So even if Cook doesn't get as many opportunities, he's going to get quality opportunities theoretically too, because of Josh Allen and the Bills and a lot more scoring.
The other complication there is that Devin Singletary was somewhat quietly in the playoffs and in December last year was just an absolute monster.
He was fantastic. He won let me tell you, I had picked him up in a couple leagues, and I was so glad that I did. I picked up Penny in a league too, and I couldn't believe how lucky I got in some of those situations. and it's true. I mean, nobody saw those guys winning people fantasy championships last year. And that kind of goes back to the point of, which is why this year, once again, I keep driving home. I'm building my teams with wide receivers. So I'm giving you already what I'm doing on Sunday when I see you at the draft, or Saturday rather. So there you go. All right, Fitz, let's go back to you and let's change gears from the running backs. Just to recap real quick, We're talking about Rhamondre Stevenson, Ken Walker, or Kenneth Walker III, Nyheim Hines. That's Fitz's list. Then we have Andy giving you Chase Edmonds, Melvin Gordon, and Tyler Allgeier. He's cheating, but I agree with him, so we're going to let it slide. Let's go to the wide receivers now. Fitz, back to you. Give me a value pick at wide receiver that you are targeting in drafts.
Brandon Aiyuk, currently going outside the top 40 receiver at wide receiver 41. And so he had this promising rookie year in 2020 and built a lot of excitement for 2021. In fact, he was going typically 3 rounds earlier than Deebo Samuel last year, which in
Don't remind me these things.
I mean, people always pointed how like a lot of people took Robert Woods ahead of Cooper Kupp last year. Like the Deebo Aiyuk thing was even, just as crazy, if not crazier. So anyway, he did not top 45 receiving yards until week 9 last year. And just this usage was kind of mysterious to everyone until we later found out that he was not pleasing Kyle Shanahan with his practice habits. So apparently he, like Rhamondre Stevenson, after his early fumble, worked his way back into the good graces of his head coach. And from week 9 on, he was the wide receiver 15 in PPR scoring. Mm-hmm. And as Andrew Erickson pointed out in a piece that's going to be landing on FantasyPros.com later today, and that's the great thing about being an editor, I can just steal one of our writers' stats or whatever. So he was 13th in yards per route run in the second half of the season among wide receivers, 6th in yards after the catch per reception. So there's a lot to like here. I mean, once he got back in Shanahan's good graces, proved himself on the practice field, and maybe did that again yesterday, getting into a fight, I think, with Fred Warner at 49ers practice. I think all systems are go. I'm not really worried about Trey Lance being a significant downgrade from Jimmy Garoppolo. So, yeah, I mean, there are other significant pass catchers here, obviously, with Deebo and Kittle, but we know it's going to be a pretty skinny tree as far as the target distribution.
Well, he's got a bigger arm than Garoppolo. So to me, Aiyuk, in a lot of ways, actually becomes even more interesting because that was a piece of Aiyuk's game you couldn't really grasp or utilize with Garoppolo. Everything's quick slant, quick slant, quick slant. That's pretty much the Jimmy Garoppolo game plan. Now, we'll see if the game plan stays the same, even though it's Lance. I doubt it. You have a better quarterback with a better arm and better legs, you're going to utilize what your quarterback brings to the table theoretically, but we shall see. Andy, let's go to you for a wide receiver. Who do you think right now is a solid value in terms of return on investment?
Yeah, I'm going to start with a guy that I don't think is going to be like if we did this podcast sorry, it just started raining here torrentially. So apologies if you hear any background noise. I can't really control it. I'm going to start with a guy, and I think Aiyuk falls into this category as well. Like if we were to record this podcast in 2 weeks, I don't think JuJu Smith-Schuster is eligible for it anymore. I think it's kind of outrageous that he's eligible for it now, but he is. I like the ADP on this guy is outside the top 80. Pretty crazy to me. First of all, he's 25 years old.
I can hear the lightning, so I don't know if you're upsetting the football gods with this take or what.
It's possible. It's possible that
it's pretty amazing.
Is so hot.
You feel like a wizard right now. It's like you're creating this magical moment for JuJu here on the pod. I can't wait to hear what happens. This is fantastic. Go for it.
I know. I'm like the weatherman who's like reporting live from a hurricane, right? And everything is getting ripped off me. There's cars flying.
I hear the thunder going. Yeah, it's like
but
wow.
I've got to get the truth out to the people about JuJu. One of the things that blows me away is he's only 25 years old, and Pat will appreciate this as a Packers fan. Like he's like a couple months older than Velus Jones, who the Bears just drafted like in round 3. This is a really young player. He's like a year older than McCole Hardman. He's 2 years younger than MVS. He's a year younger than Patrick Mahomes. Like he's totally age appropriate for this team. This isn't some like veteran where we've already seen his best years. And I don't like to be the guy who falls for like every clip that we see from training camps that go viral, but I do really like seeing the Chiefs throw to JuJu deep, right? Like we've seen a bunch of viral clips of JuJu catching the ball like 30 yards, 40 yards downfield. I'm pretty excited about that because one thing they did in Pittsburgh, and some of this is just a function of Ben's health and arm strength over the last couple of years, he was being targeted about 5 yards downfield. Like you'd look at the very bottom of intended air yards per target, and there was JuJu like for the last couple of years. It just wasn't happening. He wasn't getting splash play opportunities. they always liked him in the red zone. They always liked him when they got in, inside the 10, but he just wasn't seeing like big high yield opportunities. That's going to happen in Kansas City. Like this is just a galactically large upgrade in terms of quality of quarterback. There's something like 260 vacated receiver targets available in Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes is the freaking quarterback. Like we don't have to just pick one of these guys, right? Like there's that many targets available. JuJu can have a heck of a year, and Hardman can have a heck of a year, and MVS can have a heck of a year. Like there's plenty of work to go around. So it's not going to surprise me at all if JuJu finishes with, I mean, he's got, I think in his best year, it was 111 receptions, over 1,400 receiving yards. So like, we've already seen him be a star. He's already been a wide receiver 1, and there's no reason he can't be a wide receiver 1 again.
You didn't mention my favorite guy, Sky Moore. No Sky Moore love, Andy? What's going on there?
No, I like that's okay. There's 260 available receiver targets. So like,
well, I would like him to get 200 of those. Can I order that?
I think Sky Moore.
Can I put that into my Amazon order? 200 targets for Sky Moore, please. I'd like that
you can
on
leave
Prime.
It in the cart. Can be one of those things. Like my wife has some clothing items that she just leaves in the Amazon cart for like a year, and Sky Moore can be that. That's really nice. And then someday down the road, I'm going to feel especially generous.
Does she leave them in there just thinking accidentally, like you're just going to check out the cart and accidentally they're just going to get ordered? Like that's a great tactic, by the way. I think that's my kids started to try to do that on me recently, and I'm like, no, I see your little game. I see what you're doing.
Underrated spouse tactic for sure.
It's true. All right, let's go back to you, Fitz. Give me another wide receiver that you feel could potentially be a turnaround guy, a mid-round value guy. We already got Aiyuk, who is going at wide receiver 41. You had him at 33. JuJu is another name that's from there. And you've got another guy who used to play with JuJu last year.
Chase Claypool, also falling outside the top 40 wide receiver at wide receiver 44, and outside the top 100 overall at 105. People are going to shy away just because of this situation with the two-headed quarterback with Mitchell Trubisky and Kenny Pickett, with the competition for targets at wide receiver with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens, who's kind of been turning heads in training camp. We just don't know what that situation is going to be like. I mean, Deontay Johnson was the crutch for the ancient Ben Roethlisberger to lean on last season. And I don't know that Deontay is going to be the same sort of alpha target hog that he was last year. I'm betting on the freakish size and athleticism of Chase Claypool here. And especially good time to place that bet after he only scored 2 touchdowns last year. And he had scored 9 as a rookie. So we've kind of seen what the touchdown potential is here. The one worry here is that maybe he's kind of a head case, and that maybe part of the reason that George Pickens was drafted was, antics like the Vikings game last year where they were trying desperately to tie the game late, down 8 points, and, Claypool catches a pass for a first down and decides to take valuable time posing and striking the first down, while the Steelers are trying to huddle up. So, as our mutual friend Andy and my friend Michael Salfino would say, perhaps he's all tools and no toolbox. But man, at the price that Chase Claypool is going at right now.
Are you going to the Poconos this summer to open up for somebody? Like, you're just crushing it here, right? Man. Like, I just like
the Shecky Green of Fantasy Pros.
Check out Fitz on the road. Sometimes the 11 o'clock show is completely different, folks, than the 10 o'clock show. It's so good.
Are we spackling with Chase Claypool?
He's just bebopping and scatting here.
Hey,
does the George Pickens buzz around camp worry you at all when it comes to Claypool?
A little bit. I mean, there are, and I hate this. It's the worst cliche in fantasy football. Too many mouths to feed. Maybe there are too many mouths to feed with this group. But man, like, rather than just get some guy who we're projecting on, like, in a bad situation, he's better than these other bums and he's going to be the wide receiver 1 on the Jaguars or some team like that. No offense, Joe. I know you took Christian Kirk yesterday.
I did. I took him very late. I'll take Christian Kirk late. I think he's going to get a ton of targets. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, and I would draft Kirk ahead of Claypool, but
you took Marvin Jones in the same draft, so let's not
exactly.
throw barbs at each other here.
I would rather have Chase Claypool than Marvin Jones. Obviously, like I'm betting on the talent here.
Yeah,
like, I'm betting on the talent to come through. Like, this guy is just a freak, big and fast, and if he ever puts it all altogether. I mean, this is a guy who could dramatically outkick his ADP.
I'm not concerned ever about too many mouths to feed. I'm always more concerned about who's cooking the dinner, who's cooking the dinner,
Sure.
and that's, the thing. It's like, well, if you have a great quarterback, then everybody can eat at the table, and that's great. But when it's Trubisky and Pickett, you're trying to figure out, okay, who's that going to be? How's Pickett transition to the NFL going to be? Does Trubisky have a second life? Who knows? I'm not saying neither of these guys have any ability, because I think it wouldn't surprise me at all if Trubisky actually played relatively well for the first 6 weeks of the season, and we had a little bit of a controversy there. It wouldn't surprise me if he played terribly, and then Kenny Pickett came in and maybe he played well, maybe he didn't. I think Pickett's not getting enough credit for how good he was last year, and I think that's something you're going to see Pickett sooner than later because of the draft capital, and you never know how that's going to change too. Is Pickens going to be that guy because he works more with Pickens while he's working with the twos in practice, while Trubisky's taking those things? That kind of stuff, I feel like sometimes alters our plans. Who do you think, Andy, is another guy that could you want to alter your plans for in drafts and make sure that you draft them as a mid-round wide receiver value?
Yeah, this is maybe I'm cheating here too, because this is another guy who I think is gonna vault up a little bit and maybe become ineligible for this when most leagues are drafting for real. But like Drake London seems like a steal to me. Wonderful college player, and almost I don't know. It's really difficult to find a whole lot of faults, I think, in his collegiate resume. You might have wanted more games last year, but he gave you like 88 catches and 1,000 yards in 8 games. They peppered him with targets. Opponents always knew where the ball was going, and he was just a monster. He vacuumed everything up. He was great. He's huge, right? Like they've paired him with Kyle Pitts, and almost every receiver on that team is like 6'4" and above. I don't like how many guys can Marcus Mariota support. I'm already talking about my second member of the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe that's a mistake. I probably wouldn't stockpile.
When you start saying
Falcons
it out loud,
skill players,
it's scary, doesn't it?
It is it is a little bit scary, but if you're only taking the shot on one member of the Atlanta offense, which I think is the reasonable thing to do, I think Allgeier and Drake London are those guys. I get the love for Pitts, wonderful talent, but you got to take Kyle Pitts like in the third round, not second round, but you got to take him like third round. There's somebody who's always willing to do that. Drake London, albeit at a different position, can put up exactly the same numbers, if not better numbers, and is almost locked. I mean, like the camp reports have been great so far. He's pretty well locked into like 130 targets, and that's hard to find in the range in which we're picking here.
And we're in that range as well, where it's either top guys on bad offenses or secondary guys on good ones. Yep. So that often becomes the decision you have to make. And Drake London might be the best guy on a bad offense. Do you want to take him, or do you want to take perhaps somebody who's a secondary guy on a bad offense, like he's going in the same territory as Tyler Lockett? Right now, would you rather have Drake London or Tyler Lockett?
Oh, listen, I was in a salary cap draft the other night, and like the bidding just stopped on Tyler Lockett. Like I could have bid. It just stopped at like $7. Like people are running away from, which, hey, good deal, because Tyler Lockett's a wonderful player, but people are kind of out on the Geno Smith, Drew Lock experience, whatever that's going to look like. And like, I don't know. I could have gone $10 more on Tyler Lockett if I wanted to, but I was active on Drake London. Like I'm out on Seattle. Like if we're comparing these guys to Seattle, I certainly don't feel any better about Seattle than I do Atlanta.
Fair enough. All right, let's go back to Rodney Dangerfield. Fitz, who do you have next on your list of mid-round wide receivers that you want to target?
Kadarius Toney. And I'm doing it strictly on the 2-week stretch we saw from him in weeks 4 and week 5 last year, where he put up 6 catches, 78 yards against the Saints in week 4, 10 catches, 189 yards against the Cowboys in week 5. And man, did he just look so good in those 2 games. I mean, this is a dude who just crackles with electricity when he's got the ball in his hands. He's just this springy athlete. Like I can see why the Giants, like going into last year, a lot of people thought he was kind of a reach, but man, when he was on the field, you could totally understand it, how they just fell for the athleticism, because it totally shows up on the field. So the issue, of course, was that, he dealt with a hamstring injury in training camp. And then after that great 2-game stretch, it was just one thing after another for him. It was, ankle, quad, oblique, thumb, and COVID, not once, but twice. So the concern is that he's like maybe another Percy Harvin, who's this unique weapon who can be deployed in a lot of different ways, kind of a potential Swiss Army knife with this extraordinary athleticism, but like can just never stay healthy. So I'm not going to let those worries override my excitement at this guy's skills after just one season. So, add the Brian Dable offense to maybe, rekindle the spark in the Giants passing game, even though, Daniel Jones is still the trigger man. I'm excited by the potential here, and getting him as cheaply as you can as the wide receiver 47 at ADP outside the top 100. Yes, please.
Yeah, and you've got him at wide receiver 40. He's at 47 over there on FantasyPros.com. I would love him even more if I would stop hearing every day about Wan'Dale Robinson. I feel like that like, what, how did that happen? What's going on here? I want to figure that out a little bit.
If I can jump in here,
please.
A couple weeks ago we had Art Stapleton, the great Giants beat writer, on the Yahoo Fantasy Football Forecast pod, and we were talking Giants, and I basically asked Art a question where I was trying to lead him to say nice things about Wan'Dale Robinson, right? Because he killed my Iowa Hawkeyes in a bowl game, right? I think he's a really exciting talent. And the thought behind the question was, surely Daniel Jones is not going to support like 3 fantasy relevant wide receivers. So give me the name, Art. And then I said a bunch of nice things about Wan'Dale, I think. And Art was on Toney. Like, to Pat's point, like there's almost nobody in the league who looked as freakish as Toney did in like his 2 good games.
Oh, those
last
2
year.
Games.
Incredible.
I told everybody, Andy, and people can go back and listen to it. I mean, I told everybody, empty the fab tank. And I said, empty it. Whatever it takes to get him, because what I saw was a guy that could win you a league. And unfortunately, like 2 weeks later, he was gone. But that's so we all saw the same thing. Do our eyes deceive us, though? Is that dangerous because it's such a small sample of what we saw?
It's the concept of like signature significance, right? Like sometimes you see a thing that is so glaring that there's no way that guy fails as long as he's healthy, like an old Bill James concept. There's just no way. I didn't see another guy move like that last year, at least not at the receiver position. Like he's made his 3rd move and you're still reacting to the first move. And you just don't like all the physical traits that he has. You don't, especially with rookies, you don't always see that translate immediately onto the field. Like you didn't need to tell me what his combine numbers were for me to know that was an absolutely freakish athlete.
All right. Give me another guy that you want to draft as a wide receiver value, Andy.
Oh, perfect segue, because this guy is not a freakish athlete, but I'm going to talk about Allen Lazard. He's dodged every bullet that he could have possibly dodged, right? Like yes, they took some receivers in the draft, but they didn't take, the marquee receivers. Every great wide receiver in the NFL was available for trade in the offseason. The Packers added none of them. Even, we go all the way down to Julio Jones. They didn't sign Julio Jones. Like they've done nothing of note to make me think that Allen Lazard isn't going to see 140 targets. And now we have Rodgers talking him up as a Hall of Famer. And maybe that's a little bit tongue in cheek, but like Rodgers is, and Pat knows this, that like it's not uncommon for the Packers to build slowly with wide receivers.
Sure.
Right?
It's not like Jordy Nelson was, the can't miss prospect of all time of wide receivers.
They turned Jordy Nelson into a thing over time. They developed Jordy Nelson. Like Devontae Adams was a punchline his first season in the league. He was dropping everything, and we all had jokes about it. And now nobody separates like Devontae, and he's great. And like that's a product of a great team ecosystem. And I think Lazard has enjoyed that over the years. I don't think Lazard is, there's no one athletic trait other than his height. I guess he's huge that I'd point to say that Lazard is some budding superstar. But man, he's going to come into volume, and it's not just volume; it's volume from the back-to-back MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history. He's in an absolutely great situation, and again, he's dodged every big name, so I expect him to have a big year.
I'm actually the only person who's higher on Lazard than you, because you got him at wide receiver 33. I've got him at 32. So you and I see eye to eye.
It's like you, me, and Kluge who've been talking about Lazard. And almost nobody
I just feel like sometimes it is that simple. And it's funny, the more you watch Romeo Doubs, the more I like him more than Christian Watson. I don't know if I'm in like a minority on that or not. I don't know if time will tell, but Lazard's the one thing I feel good about. And they have to throw the ball to somebody, as you were pointing out earlier. There's only so many, targets out there, and they're going to have to throw the ball a certain minimum number of times. No matter how good the running backs are, no matter what it is, it's still Aaron Rodgers, it's still the Packers, it's still a very competitive team. Lazard's been there, knows the offense, has the confidence of Aaron Rodgers, and he is basically going as a third wide receiver or fourth wide receiver in some drafts. Yeah. And I just think that's an absurd value right now. Do you also think that, Mr. Packer? What do you think about Allen Lazard?
So, I mean, I don't think he's that great a separator. I don't know if he's capable of being like a 120 target guy for this offense. Like, I think this could very well be like a wide receiver core that doesn't have a guy go over like 750 yards, where it's just allotted between 3, 4, 5 different guys. But I will say this, the Packers' goal line back the last couple of years was Devontae Adams. Mm-hmm. Rodgers loves throwing close to the goal line, and Lazard is huge.
Yeah.
Lazard is a huge dude. Like, even if I don't love the reception and yardage potential here, I love the TD potential here. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if Lazard approached double digits for touchdowns.
I mean, if he gave you 9 touchdowns and 1,200 yards, I think you'd be pretty happy with that as well. Get the 40th wide receiver off the board.
Yeah, I'm not buying the 1,200 yards though, Joe. I can't go there. Like, no, I think
11, I don't even think 11's that much anymore with the extra game now too. You think 11?
Man, I'd take 8 or 9 maybe. Like, you could talk
Andy,
me into 800,
can he break 1,000?
Yeah, I think he can definitely break 1,000.
I do too.
And I don't even think I'm super bullish on Lazard. Like, Pat and I might be in pretty close to the same place on Lazard as an actual player. Like, in a lot of offenses, I don't think he would be all that exciting. And I think he'd be like the 4th guy. But like, that is the state of the Packers receiving core. And I also, I will defer to Aaron Rodgers on football matters. And like, Aaron Rodgers was calling for more Lazard on the field when Lazard was a rookie, like openly in the media. Rodgers loves him some Allen Lazard, loved him early, loves him now. Like, he's talking him up now. So, a guy that size, a guy like 6'5" and just absolutely enormous, I don't mean to say that it's about separation isn't important. Of course, separation is important. It's a huge skill for receivers, clearly. But he can also be a box out specialist, right? Like, he doesn't need 4 yards.
And not every corner he's going to face is going to be elite either, necessarily.
And he's tied to a quarterback who is just weirdly, freakishly surgical, right? Like,
yes.
Single coverage against any receiver is open to Aaron Rodgers. We've seen that over the years.
Good point there. All right, Brandon Aiyuk, Chase Claypool, Kadarius Toney, JuJu Smith-Schuster, Drake London, Allen Lazard, some of the names that the boys have put forth as mid-round wide receiver values. Let's switch gears to quarterback and tight end before we hit the mailbag and then head on out today. Fitz, give me a QB and a tight end that you think are both mid-round values that people should be aware of.
All right, I referenced him earlier talking about Brandon Aiyuk. It's Trey Lance at quarterback. It almost feels like cheating. Like, he's this year's Jalen Hurts. Last year, a lot of sharp fantasy analysts and me were telling you to draft Jalen Hurts. And this year, like, don't get Jalen Hurts this year because he's too expensive. Get Trey Lance instead. He ran 24 times in his 2 starts for the 49ers last year. 24 times. And as a guy coming from a small school who, very limited exposure to NFL defenses last season, didn't play a lot of games in college, like, might he be confused by what he sees from prolonged exposure to NFL defenses? Yes. And if he's confused, he's going to take off and run. Like, that's the benefit here. So, but it's not all about running. Like, I don't think the 49ers would have given up 2 future first rounders and a future third for a guy who they didn't think could become an above average NFL passer. And, I think, having Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk there might help him a little bit in that regard. So, man, I mean, he's like such an easy pick if you wait on quarterback this year.
All right, so that's the quarterback. Who's the tight end on your list?
So I told you I was going to pay Andy back for his Melvin Gordon mention. So I got to mention Noah Fant here, an Iowa tight end. I mean, the NFL is awash in former Iowa tight ends. And everyone hates, Andy mentioned this earlier, that, Drew Lock, Geno Smith, people just don't want anything of Tyler Lockett because of that. They don't want anything to do with Noah Fant for the same reason. He's tight end 16. Despite the fact that this guy has some experience playing with Drew Lock. And his last 2 seasons, 62 catches, 673 yards, 3 touchdowns, tight end 8. And then last year, 68 catches, 670 yards, 4 touchdowns, tight end 12, That was, 1 year mostly with Drew Lock, 1 year with Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. So like Fant has given you decent low end tight end 2 production with bad quarterbacks. And we know a lot of tight ends don't really like hit their peak until year 4 or 5. Like Fant is hitting there now, and this dude is just 97th percentile speed score, 97th percentile burst score, 96th percentile agility score, 99th percentile catch radius. This guy's just a freak. So, yeah, if people are going to completely avoid him because he's playing with bad quarterbacks, I'll take him very late in drafts and get, low tight end 1 production. Sure.
I feel bad for Noah Fant. He's like Al Pacino in Godfather 3. Everything he thinks he's out every time, and then he just gets pulled back into some kind of system with Drew Lock. No matter what he does, he can't escape Drew Lock. Andy, give me a quarterback and a tight end that you think are really good values, whether it be in Superflex or not, as terms of the quarterback, or even in a deeper quarterback league.
The quarterback for me is easy. It's Derek Carr. I think he has a very clear and obvious path to not just a top 10 finish at the position, maybe top 8 finish at the position, something like that. Like we get 17 games now. There's a really good chance that Derek Carr throws for 5,000 yards. He threw for over 4,800 last year in a season in which everything that you can imagine and half the things like you can't imagine went wrong for the Raiders, right? Like head coach resigns in disgrace. One of his primary receivers gets arrested and jailed. Darren Waller, like best skill player on the team, basically goes down in December. Like all kinds of things went wrong. Derek Carr passed for 4,800 yards and just dragged that team to the playoffs. Really good season for him. Now he gets, one of Earth's best receivers and his former collegiate teammate, Devontae Adams. And Devontae chose him, right? Like Devontae wanted to go there. It wasn't, Devontae had Aaron Rodgers, better quarterback, chose Derek Carr. So I think that matters. They're not going to struggle to find rapport. They already have it. He's got a healthy Waller. He's got Hunter Renfrow, who's great. He's got Josh McDaniels, which seems to me like a nice enough upgrade. The AFC West is a freaking arms race, right? We're going to see nothing but high scoring games, great offenses. I think Derek Carr is going over 5,000 yards. I think it's going to be a great year for him. And I also think that Devontae opens up the one thing that Derek Carr has really needed to unlock is the possibility of throwing for 35 touchdowns. It just hasn't really been there in recent years. I think that's back. So I think 5,000 yards and 35 scores is very attainable for Carr. I think he's a great value. At tight end, this feels a little cheating, little cheaterish too. I'm gonna go Dawson Knox. Like he's eligible here, scored 9 touchdowns last year, and he did it. He basically did it with like a broken hand, right? Like he came. We at Yahoo, we do a segment with Austin Eckler each week, and he had Dawson Knox on as a guest at one point, and it was like a month after Knox had broken the hand, and he held it up, and it was like twice the size of his other hand. Like he had the season that he just had in a compromised state, right? And it's the Buffalo offense. Like if you seriously think that Josh Allen is an MVP candidate, then you have to be in on Dawson Knox, and you have to think of him as a potential top 5 fantasy tight end on touchdowns alone. Like every year we see a couple guys who just sort of stumble into a great fantasy finish because you can't keep them out of the end zone. And Knox is a really strong candidate to be that guy.
Yeah, it's funny because so many people have been down on Dawson Knox. You're the first person we've had on this show all summer who has said something positive and something to not forget, which is if you think Josh Allen's going to be MVP, then maybe you should still buy in on Dawson Knox as a low end.
Something that happens all the time in fantasy is we get down on guys who play through injury. Like Dawson Knox came back and played through.
It's a Saquon Barkley arc. He played through the injury, so we're all down on him. Christian McCaffrey's not around, so we want to anoint him as the one again.
Yes, yeah. Think about the way people talk about Antonio Gibson after last season. Like everybody hates Gibson now, and some of it is the way they may use him. A lot of it was the way he played last year. He freaking played on a broken leg. His real life team gives him a lot of credit for that. Think about when we all wrote off Odell Beckham. That was because he was playing through injury, right? Like it happens in the NFL. Teams recognize it, teams appreciate it, but fantasy guys are like, oh, well, look at Antonio Gibson. Now he doesn't score touchdowns and now he's not explosive. Well, he was playing on a broken leg, and Dawson Knox was playing with like a pillow for a hand last year, and he played through it. He deserves a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah, after doing the show with you, Andy, I can tell Saturday is going to be a wild wild time because I love Derek Carr. I love Alan Lazard, Tyler Allgeier. I can only hope we're right next to each other in the draft just to make some fun there. Let's do a listener mailbag. Of course, this is straight from our Discord chat. So if you haven't already, you can join that for free. Also, fantasypros.com/chat. That's our Discord where we have all the interaction with our fans. We've been pulling people right from our Discord for these live mocks we've been doing on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. And of course, free to join. But once again, if you are upgraded at Fantasy Pros to the premium package, you get access to all the stages, the AMA channels, and so much more. And this one is from Rayo Blander. Which player does the Tim Patrick injury benefit the most? Fitz, do you have an answer? With Tim Patrick gone for the year, who do you think benefits the most in this offense?
I'm buying the Andrew Erickson theory that maybe Jerry Jeudy wouldn't have been on the field in 2 wide receiver sets if Tim Patrick had stayed healthy. And so now, I mean, I don't think there's any question that Jeudy is on the field in 2 wide receiver sets. I guess it's Jeudy, even though I kind of like Jeudy more than Sutton to begin with. But I do think, this makes it certain that Jeudy is going to play a lot.
Too much credit to Andrew Erickson in this podcast. Let's go back to you, Andy. Same question there. The Tim Patrick injury, who is the beneficiary?
Yeah, I agree with Pat here. I think it's Jeudy. I do not like Jeudy more than Courtland Sutton. I think I like Courtland Sutton to me is like a known commodity. Seems like he has pretty obvious rapport with Russell Wilson. Not that we need to be guessing at that, but Courtland Sutton's had a great season, and he had a great season with like Drew Lock and Joe Flacco. So I give him a ton of credit for that. Like we're still waiting. Like it's still all speculation on Jerry Jeudy. We haven't really, and I know he's been injured. I know there are issues, but we haven't seen it yet in the NFL with Jerry Jeudy. And I agree that Jerry Jeudy was probably not going to see the field as much as Courtland Sutton if everything went according to plan. Some of that is just the fact that Tim Patrick is a really good player, and this is super unfortunate. Like that guy found ways to pop.
Yes, he did
last season with like in miserable circumstances, right? Like on 4 or 5 targets a game, he would make a field flipping play or like score a touchdown that was utterly unexpected. That guy's a good player, really unfortunate. But yeah, I think it's probably more targets for Jeudy. Maybe it helps Alberto. There's a little bit of a trickle down effect, but I also think that Tim Patrick just like on his own was skilled enough that this is just subtraction by subtraction. I don't think that all those stats just go somewhere. Like I think Tim Patrick was going to have a role and was going to make enough meaningful plays that some of this is just a bad thing for Denver's offense overall.
That's a bigger picture thing to put forth right there. And of course, he's great at giving you the bigger picture. He's Andy Behrens. You can follow him on Twitter at Andy Behrens. By the way, he doesn't follow me on Twitter. Pat, can you believe what he's missing out on? I just realized this when I was looking.
I'll correct that right now.
No, don't do it. I'm not begging for follows. That's not what I just saw. And I thought that was very funny. But yes, Andy Behrens, of course, over at Yahoo doing fantastic work. One of the best in the industry. And that is, again, not something we say lightly here. We appreciate your time, you coming on with us today and spreading the knowledge on the value plays. If you want to look in more of the ECR and the ADP, go over to fantasypros.com/rankings to do that. And of course, I'm laying out the game plan for you. You go to fantasypros.com/offers. You invest in one of the partner sites. Very easy. And then you get premium features that includes what I talked about at the top of the show, that fantasy football draft kit at fantasypros.com/kit. You get the entire draft kit. You get access to the DFS tools, to the in-season management tools, all the draft sync tools, the cheat sheet creator, and of course, access to all of us over here, Fantasy Pros, all the analysts on our Discord as well. So, I mean, it's just a crazy value. Go check it out at fantasypros.com/offers. And if you just want to go check it out for free, you can also check out the fantasypros.com/kit as well, because we are serving everybody, but we want you to be part of the Fantasy Pros family here and get in on all of the amazing tools and all the amazing access that we're giving you in fantasy football season to dominate your drafts. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on for Andy Behrens and Pat Fitzmaurice. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Fantasy Pros, so you can get the latest news and updates to give you the edge you need in your fantasy league.